Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, is directed by Matt Johnson, written by Matt Johnson and Jay McCarrol, and stars Matt Johnson and Jay McCarrol. When their plan to book a show at the Rivoli goes horribly wrong, Matt and Jay accidentally travel back to the year 2008. Blah, blah, blah. This was a movie I really knew nothing about until its premiere at Beyond Fest last fall, and the raves that came out of that screening were impossible to ignore. But I'd never heard of or watched any of Nirvana the band or Nirvana the band the show, and so I figured, okay, this is one of those movies that's kind of just gonna miss me. But then I saw people who had never seen any of those previous shows say the movie was amazing. And Matt Johnson himself has said in interviews that he thinks the best way to see this movie is with no context on who these guys are and what they do, going in completely blind. And so that's what I did. And first of all, I'd just like to say I'm sorry that I'm almost a month late to reviewing this movie, but I had to review it because I saw this movie and I lost my mind. I've never seen a movie like this before, and this is just an absolute comedic masterwork, very possibly the funniest movie of the 2020s so far. And obviously you've got Matt Johnson and Jay McCarrol right at the center. These guys are the creators of the show, these guys are the writers, these guys are the stars, and Matt Johnson is the director. So this is just their baby through and through, and the way their talent manifests in this movie is so amazing. They do this great magic trick where this movie is very high concept and is doing a lot of very interesting things with comedy, but the dynamic between these two characters is just comedy 101, and it instantly makes you understand who these people are. Jay McCarrol is the straight man who goes along with the bits and plays the music, and Matt Johnson is the crazy friend who comes up with all these crazy ideas and gets them to hairy situations. And the way they're both playing these characters is so great. And, Jay McCarrol is really sort of the central character of the movie. His decisions are largely what is pushing the narrative along. And I'd never seen Jay McCarrol, I'd never heard of Jay McCarrol, never heard any of his music. But I really liked him in this movie. I just found him very charming, and a performance that kind of surprised me a little, because at the beginning I thought, okay, I know this dynamic exactly. He's going to be the straight man all the way through, and Matt Johnson's going to be the powder keg. But Jay McCarrol absolutely gets some scenes where he is the kind of comedic centerpiece, and he nails them every time. He is so funny and so charming and just very likable, and the things that happens with his character in the back half of the movie, he plays so well. And Matt Johnson is just a beautiful contrast to him because he's playing, the powder keg, the crazy guy, the guy who's just bouncing off the walls and is coming up with all these ideas and is a little crazy and wacky and maybe will push you too far. And he's just, again, so charming and so entertaining on screen. And I had such a loose knowledge of Matt Johnson before this movie. I had seen his last movie, Blackberry, and really liked it and really liked him in it, but I wasn't aware of just how talented he was, and that comes across in this performance and also his work as a director. This movie is such a feat of directing in so many ways. He's mixing all these different kind of comedic approaches where the plotting of this movie is so insanely impressive. It's like a Swiss watch. Everything is perfectly placed. Everything comes back around. It's not just a laugh fest. There's also kind of an emotional core to it and all these really big ideas for a comedy movie. But along the way, him and Jay McCarrol are having these completely improvised conversations with people. And the movie is largely built on improv. All the dialogue is improv. And the way that fits with this plotted movie, this heavily plotted movie, this high concept movie, it's one of those things you'd never think would work, but it works so brilliantly. And that is, of course, a big credit to their writing style, Matt Johnson and Jay McCarrol, how they mix this completely improvised approach and then almost building the movie, reverse engineering it from that and having this, I keep saying high concept, but it's really, really impressive. And the way Matt Johnson directs all that is incredible. It's so impressive. And he's doing all these things they're breaking the fourth wall, in the movie as Nirvana the band, but also as Matt Johnson. Like, it's really crazy stuff, and he really gets to shine in this movie's kind of how did they do this aspect. There are big set pieces in this movie, specifically involving the CN Tower, that are doing things that are just like unbelievable and so impressive. You can kind of conceptualize how they're doing them when you really stop and think about it, but in the moment I was like electrified. I was like leaning forward and just like, there's no way they actually did this, and I'm watching this in a movie theater, and that's one of the things that's so impressive. And also the sort of shape the movie takes when the two time travel back to 2008. This movie is largely based off of Back to the Future, and a big part of the plot is them traveling to 2008 so they can get a show at the Rivoli. And when they go back to 2008, the way that is communicated through the way people dress, the billboards that are up, the way a group of people react to the jokes in The Hangover, all these ways that 2008 is presented is so sharp and so cool, but that also stretches to the fact that when they're back in 2008, they have to interact with themselves, and it's intercut with footage from their original web series from 2008, and they're having a back and forth conversation about things, and editing themselves into certain shots, having it like these guys were avoiding each other on the streets, and, you know, shooting with older cameras to match the shots of the newer Matt and Jay to the older Matt and Jay. It's it's unbelievable. It is so unbelievable, and if you can't tell, I love this movie, but I also find it very difficult to talk about because it is so unique. And that is really the thing at the end of the day, is that I've never seen a movie like this. I've never seen a movie that is so high concept, but builds so much of its plot on improv, and is such a small comedy movie, but has like half a dozen moments where you're genuinely like, how did they actually do that? And it's been a long time since I've seen a movie and kind of felt that magic of like, I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know how they did this. And normally I feel that when I go back and watch movies from the 70s or 80s and they do something with special effects that really shocks me. I don't ever really feel that about movies from 2026, but let me tell you, Nirvana made me feel that. And so I don't know if I've adequately talked enough about this movie, but I don't really know what else there is to say. There's just like a million genius comedic strokes in this movie that I could talk about forever, and I'm sure some much smarter people than me on YouTube are going to make really great, really detailed videos about. But for now, I can just say that I absolutely loved everything about this movie. It didn't get the biggest theatrical release ever, and it's probably not in too many theaters, as once again I apologize, this review is coming out a month later than the movie. But if you can see it in theaters, or when it's available to rent or stream, please watch this movie, because it's one of those movies that has to be seen to be believed, and is really just an incredible feat of filmmaking in like every way. I like really can't stress how impressive this movie is. It's almost more impressive than funny. And it's a movie that I think I'm going to watch many times over the years, and has made me a diehard Matt Johnson fan. So yes, I would absolutely, deeply in my bones, recommend that you see Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. This is undoubtedly going to end up being one of my favorite movies of the year. Please go see it when you can. If you enjoyed the video, please consider commenting, liking, or subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!